The anime start with Koyomi Araragi catches Hitagi Senjogahara as she falls down from a great height, and he immediately notices that Hitagi weighs little to nothing. However, he does not mention this to her. Later, he asks Tsubasa Hankawa, the class chairman, about her. He finds that she was sick and contemplates if that is actually the case. As he is leaving, Hitagi confronts him. As she threatens him, she explains that a crab took her weight. When he agrees to keep quiet about her secret, she staples the inside of his mouth and proceeds to leave. Koyomi follows her and tells her that he may be able to help. To stop Hitagi attacking him, he shows her that the wound in his mouth, inflicted a few minutes previous, had already healed. They go to see Meme Ashino, who after hearing her situation explains that it was the weight crab, Omoshikani, a god that took her weight. At her home, Hitagi Senjogahara contemplates her past as she showers, while Koyomi waits for her. Earlier, Hitagi was told to wash and change her clothes by Meme Ashino, who arranges for all of them to meet at midnight. Back at Hitagi's home, Koyomi argues with Hitagi while she gets dressed in front of him. Later that evening, they meet Ashino. He explains that they are not going to attack the crab god, but instead pray to it. They go before an altar. Ashino instructs her to relax. He then asks her a series of questions. His final question results in Hitagi retelling about how her mother joined a cult when Hitagi was sick, and that one night her mother brought a higher-up from the cult home. Hitagi injured him as he attempted to sexually assault her, her mother watching without aiding her. As a result, her family was broken apart. Hitagi feels that she is responsible. She opens her eyes to find a crab facing her. Koyomi and Ashino are unable to see the glowing yellow-eyed, red word-bound form of the giant crab. When Hitagi is then attacked by Crab God, Ashino is forced to intervene. This allows her to beg the crab for her feeling and memories, and they are returned. In a flashback, it is explained how her mother joined the cult, and how the attack on Hitagi resulted in a broken family. That she met a crab which took her feelings, omomi, and memories of her mother. Hitagi now has her memories and feeling of her mother back, and even though she has forever lost her mother, she admits to be glad to have become Koyomi's friend. In the morning, Koyomi finds that his weight has been increased as a result of the crab god's mistake. On Mother's Day, Koyomi sits in the center of a vast playground, reminiscing about his family and his mountain bike. He sees a young, lost girl, Maoi Hachikuji, whom he does not know, who later leaves. Hitagi Senjogahara arrives, and they proceed to have a strained conversation while they use the playground equipment. She wants to pay him back for helping her, but he declines all her proposals. Later, Koyomi spots the lost girl looking at the map again. Leaving Hitagi behind, he goes over to her to see if he can help her. After she refuses his help, and later ignores him, Koyomi surprises her by hitting her head into the sign. During a hostile exchange, Maoi introduces herself. They get into a brawl, ending with Koyomi as the winner. Koyomi proceeds to get aid from Hitagi, who used to live in the area, about helping Maoi find her way. Maoi mentions that she is actually a lost Mai, but drops the subject immediately. After talking with Maoi, Koyomi discovers that the young girl is trying to get to her mother's house. However, as he, Maoi, and Hitagi try to make their way to the address, they keep getting inexplicably lost. Assuming Maoi has fallen victim to an apparition, Koyomi decides to send Hitagi off to find Ashino while he stays behind with Maoi. Maoi mentions that she has always been trying to get to her mother's house, but can never seem to get there. She and Koyomi get into an argument and briefly fight. Tsubasa then arrives, saying that she was passing by. She asks Koyomi about his relationship with Hitagi, but he isn't able to give her a definite answer. After Tsubasa leaves, Koyomi receives a call from Ashino, who says that he has given Hitagi instructions on how to solve Maoi's problem. While waiting for Hitagi to arrive, Koyomi begins to find out more about Maoi's life. She is the only child of a couple that had undergone a bitter divorce. Maoi was put under the custody of her father, and had any contact with her mother deliberately cut off to the point where Maoi could barely recognize the face of her mother. Hitagi then arrives and apologizes to Koyomi. She reveals that Maoi does not exist, as she is actually dead. As a ghost, a lost Mai, she can only be seen by those who have a subconscious desire not to return home. and is meant to waylay people who do not really want to arrive at their destinations. As a result, Hitagi could not see Maoi and didn't say anything because she feared that she might be different again. The information Ashino provides. As a ghost, Maoi cannot adapt to changes that occurred after her death. Thus, she cannot lead them astray if they only use roads built thereafter. Helps them find Maoi's mother's house, but it is a vacant lot. However, Maoi is happy and disappears, saying she's finally home. Afterwards, Hitagi admits that she is in love with Koyomi, and she is deeply intrigued by his desire to help anyone in need. Koyomi responds to her feelings with the precondition that they would not hide things from each other. At the end of the episode, Koyomi runs into Maoi again, who states that she has been promoted from a lost soul to a wandering spirit and that she'd like to visit Koyomi from time to time. Koyomi needs to study for upcoming exams and is on his way to Hitagi's house for help. On the way there, Maoi teases him about his one-on-one study session. Suruga Kamburu, an underclassman, meets him as she is running, and she voices her admiration for him. Koyomi tries to get her to leave. However, he is unable to until Hitagi is mentioned, at which point Suruga runs off. At the study session with Hitagi, the two discuss their future after high school, but things quickly deteriorate when Koyomi mentions Suruga. Hitagi and Suruga were friends in middle school, and Suruga may have even had a crush on her, but they had a falling out in high school. After studying, Koyomi calls Tsubasa for more details about them, but she warns him to mind his relationship with Hitagi and not to dig too deeply into her past too quickly. On his way to Ashino to drop Hitagi's payment off, Koyomi is viciously attacked by a person wearing a raincoat. During the fight, he sees that the assailant has bandages dangling from its left arm. Koyomi is left bruised and bleeding on railroad tracks. Hitagi finds him lying there and tells him that he had forgotten the payment that he was supposed to be delivering. Hitagi says she believes that Koyomi was hit by a car. He says he stumbled, which she seems to accept. Koyomi goes to Suruga's house and finds that her room is filled with red books. She apologizes for beating him up the previous night. Koyomi asks about her unnatural strength, and she reveals that she literally has a monkey's paw. She also bluntly states that she is a lesbian, which is hard for Koyomi to swallow. Koyomi then takes Suruga to visit Ashino for help, where he determines that the arm is actually a lesser devil's, since a monkey's paw doesn't attach itself to its owner. As such, the arm will take Suruga's soul once 3 wishes are fulfilled. Inheriting a mummified hand from her mother, Suruga first wished on it to run quickly so that she could win a local race in 4th grade. Soon after, 4 of the competitors were hospitalized due to an assault from a monster dressed in a raincoat. Suruga suspected the hand may be acting like a monkey's paw, wherein a wish is granted in an unexpected way. She abstained from wishing upon the arm for many years, coming close once to wish for help with Hitagi's crab problem, but such a wish would probably not have been granted, as the arm only manifests negative wishes, especially the hidden intentions of them, such as the students being beat up, revenge for Suruga's being outcast. However, after seeing Koyomi and Hitagi in a relationship, she became insanely jealous and wished upon the arm to be with Hitagi, without noticing that the hand had grown into an arm and attached itself to her. Ashino surmises that her first granted wish had already caused the devil to take a portion of her soul, leading to the hand's growth. He offers the solution of cutting off the arm, a suitable price in exchange for nearly killing Koyomi, a result of the hidden side of her second wish. Koyomi objects to this, and instead opts to defeat the devil to dissolve its contract. To prepare for the fight, he gives some of his blood to Shinobu in order to boost his limited vampiric powers. Despite that, he still gets literally shredded apart by the devil and is saved at the last moment by Ashino's intervention. He called for Hitagi, who notes that Koyomi had hidden the entire situation from her, against his precondition for their relationship. With her appearance, the devil is unable to continue the attack without invalidating either half of the wish, so the contract is dissolved. However, even though the devil is gone, her arm still has not fully recovered. In the end, she becomes good friends with both Koyomi and Hitagi. Koyomi and Suruga travel to an abandoned shrine to place a talisman at Ashino's request. As they climb the mountain the shrine is located on, they pass a girl running down the path, who exchanges only brief glances before continuing in the other direction. Once they reach the shrine, Koyomi and Tsuruga discover a number of dismembered snake corpses in what appears to be some sort of ritual. They both quickly decide to leave. The next day, Tsubasa accompanies Koyomi to a bookstore to help him pick some study guides. Tsubasa warns Koyomi that his being kind to everyone, and Tsuruga in particular, may well put his relationship with Hitagi at risk if he doesn't begin to set boundaries. He is surprised to learn she intends to travel the world instead of attending college after graduating. She leaves after getting a sudden headache. Koyomi then meets the girl again, who he finally realizes is Nadeko Sengoku, a friend of his sister's whom he met as a child. He and Tsuruga intercept her at the shrine and return to Koyomi's house. Once there, Nadeko takes off her clothes, revealing snake scale-like marks on her skin, and pleads for Koyomi to save her. Ashino informs Koyomi that Nadeko is under the effects of a snake constrictor, a snake spirit that slowly constricts the life out of its victim. Nadeko explains that it is a curse a classmate placed on her after Nadeko inadvertently rejected the confession of a boy the classmate liked. Normally, a curse placed by an amateur would be harmless, but Nadeko accidentally made the curse worse by performing her ritual at the shrine, which has been corrupted by Shinobu's presence. Koyomi obtains a special charm that will banish the snake constrictor, and they return to the shrine. While the ritual is seemingly successful, Koyomi realizes that Nadeko is under the attack of two snake constrictors, the second being placed by the rejected boy. Once the first one is banished, Koyomi is forced to battle the second to keep it from killing Nadeko. He and Tsuruga manage to chase it off, but Koyomi feels guilty for not being able to destroy it, as the snake constrictor will return to the person who originally placed the curse. After a flashback to the events during Golden Week, Koyomi finds Nadeko waiting in front of his school, and they talk about how Shinobu looked at her and Tsuruga with a different gaze than at Koyomi and Ashino. Tsubasa appears and Nadeko leaves abruptly. Tsubasa tells Koyomi that some classmates and teachers think he has become a bad influence to Hitagi in school. Tsubasa gets a headache again, and Koyomi suspects it might be induced by stress as it was during Golden Week. Flashbacks show how Tsubasa turned into a white catwoman and attacked people by absorbing their vitality. Ashino revealed the problem is caused by a huge amount of stress built up in Tsubasa over the years, due to her problematic family background. Koyomi acted as bait to attract the cat, and Shinobu bit her, draining her energy until she turned back into Tsubasa. Hitagi and Koyomi are having lunch. She teases him and asks him to go on a date in a very roundabout fashion. He comes late, but Hitagi doesn't seem to mind. While Hitagi's father drives them, Koyomi is teased, much to his discomfort and Hitagi's amusement. She leaves him with her father, who tells Koyomi that he can't be there for her often and asks Koyomi to take care of her. Hitagi returns, taking him to an area where she has laid a blanket on the ground. They lay down, and she tells him that the stars are all she has to give to him. She tells him that she loves him, and Koyomi reciprocates. In the final exchange, she asks him to kiss her in the same manner she asked him out at the beginning of the episode. On his way to school, Koyomi finds Maoi in the middle of the street and assaults her in a teasing manner. Maoi panics and breaks his finger. Later, Maoi tells Koyomi that she saw Shinobu at the donut store. Koyomi goes to the school bike rack and gets a text from Tsubasa, asking him to ditch school and come to the playground. He finds her there still in her pajamas and wearing a hat. They talk about her recent headaches, and Koyomi persuades her to take her hat off. He finds out that she had grown cat ears. They agree to go to Ashino's place. When they reach there, they find him crouching, burying something in the dirt. Ashino asks them to come in and hits the side of Tsubasa's head, knocking her out. Ashino tells Koyomi that at that point, she was already half cat. Tsubasa's hair turns white, and the cat is revealed. After suppressing the cat, Ashino explains Tsubasa's situation to Koyomi. Koyomi realizes that he may need Shinobu's powers to help him bottle up the oddity. The problem escalates when Koyomi learns that Shinobu has gone missing. Enlisting the help of his friends, he looks for Shinobu to no avail. The cat soon escapes from Ashino, then goes after Koyomi. This time, however, she sides with him and aids in searching for Shinobu. The two have conversations regarding Koyomi's interactions with oddities while they scour the city. The search proves to be difficult even with the cat's keen sense of smell and hearing. The conversation gradually switches over to Tsubasa's situation. The cat explains that there is a way to confine her without relying on a vampire, that she is the personification of Tsubasa's stress, and that she knows exactly what is causing it. She remarks that Koyomi can deal with it easily. The oddity then reveals that Tsubasa being possessed by the cat was because of the stress that she felt from her unrequited love for Koyomi, and that the oddity itself may be sealed away for good if Koyomi falls in love with Tsubasa. Koyomi is confused after hearing from the cat that Tsubasa loved him. After arguing with the cat that it was a mistake, the cat tells him that there is another way to suppress the stress for good, to kill him. Koyomi thinks that he could agree with this because he owes Tsubasa his life. But Hitagi and her vow to avenge him come to his mind, and he decides he does not want to die. The cat tells him that no one would help him in this situation. Koyomi calls out Shinobu's name, yelling for her help, and the vampire girl suddenly appears from Koyomi's shadow, apparently just as planned by the cat, who had him moved to a position where he would cast enough of a shadow before. Everything is settled after Shinobu bites the cat's neck, and it reverts to Tsubasa. The next day before school starts, Koyomi goes to Ashino's place to bring Shinobu back to him. It seems that nothing is left in the ruined cram school that used to be Ashino's place. After school, Koyomi, Hitagi, Suruga, and Tsubasa go back to Ashino's place searching for him, but to no avail. Koyomi concludes that Ashino believed he could handle the problems concerning Tsubasa and Shinobu by himself.